Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. I've been waiting for something like this for quite some time. A retrospective from Kabam regarding the Banquet. And Kabam crashed, gave us one this weekend. Hello. I was able to get a sneak peek at the various analysis our data team is working on this week, so I was able to finish this post ahead of schedule. What you're about to read isn't so much a post-mortem as it is an explanation of how I personally see the Banquet event, with as much context as I could provide in this type of setting. I'll be honest, I went back and forth a bunch of times about whether or not I was going to do this. Part of me wanted to just reference my initial Banquet post and be done with it, because I know no matter what I say, some will respond negatively. Having said that, I really do like thinking deeply about our game and our players, and I have heard from many of you that you do as well. So I decided to go ahead and write this whole thing up for those that might find it helpful. First, a little bit about me. Said wanted to see how the big one in the game as a whole isn't the only perspective on our team that matters. He knows that other members of our team see things differently, but a part of the design leadership team and one of the handful of people was responsible for the Banquet event. So he has significant influence over how the Banquet event was built. Constant Champions is Kabam's biggest game. It has formed the lifeblood of our company for the last 10 years. It has sustained us through good times and bad. Without a Kabam, as anything close as we know, would cease to exist. He goes on to talk about the difference between finite and infinite games. So he says our goal, or at least my goal, is for us to keep making a game for the next decade and beyond. Wow. This infinite game is really a marathon, not a sprint. It isn't enough just to think about having players, resources, and revenue this year. We need to think about it for the next 3 years, or we definitely would run out of something important, players, developers, or things to sell. How does Banquet get made? Banquet planning for this year really started back in 2022. We were planning the launch of 7-star champions. That is when myself and Kabam Numbers sketched out the initial plan for the 7-star life cycle. I have a spreadsheet that shows approximately how much 7-star stuff players are going to be able to earn and buy over time. I think about this in terms of horizontal progression, how many 7-stars a player has, and what SIG level they are, and vertical progression, what 7-stars or what rank those 7-stars are. Based on extrapolating players' rosters on those two axes, I can predict approximately when 7-stars will be over and we will need the next thing. Oh. So Kabam crashed, is terrified of 8-stars. That's the first takeaway. That's what you don't want to have happen, because I can predict approximately when 7-stars will be over and we will need the next thing is 8-stars. It just is. If we slow things down, the life cycle lengthens. 2023, both horizontal and vertical moved faster than I initially planned and hoped, so we devised a number of initiatives to slow things down. This is when we decided we wanted 7-star rank 3s to last 14 months, and counting ahead with Necropolis that landed the initial release of the next rank in December 2024, coinciding perfectly with the Banquet. There you go. I'm not going to read over all of that. First was hired as an economy designer. One day proposed an offer to the live ops team, which they agreed to build and put in the game. Pretty confident there was a market for the offer that I uncovered in our data. The day the offer went out, I looked around to see if players were talking about it and was absolutely devastated by what I found. There were threads on the forums talking about how out of touch Kabam was to make such an insulting offer. There were multiple YouTube videos titled, "Whatever Kabam employees made this offer should be fired." The next day, I started work, expecting to see I had proposed the first offer in the game's history to be bought by nobody. Looking at our revenue dashboards, I discovered that not only had the offer been bought by some players and significantly outperformed our revenue estimates, it was, for lack of a better phrase, broadly very popular. Wow. Okay, so he likes to make offers. Interesting. That anecdote is just one example of something I've come to learn over the last 3 years. There is no consistent correlation between player sentiment, our social channels, and short-term revenue. Our engaged players are really, really good at a lot of things, including our game. But their opinions on how we make money have little to no predictive value. To be clear, I'm not saying players are always wrong. I remember one sale, 2023, in which there was a lot of chatter about how firmware players were getting shafted in firmware offers, and that sale did indeed perform well under our expectations. Sometimes players are spot on, but what I'm saying is that there's no way for us to see player reaction to an offer or sale at the forums and YouTube and know if those opinions will impact revenue or not. So, this could be a 20-minute video. But if I skip ahead, now I want to pause to be as clear as I can. Now you have said above what the players' opinions and regulations are valuable. Let's just jump ahead to Banquet 2024. So with the context provided, my thoughts on Banquet 2024, I'm going to start with the 3 main things I agree with the unsatisfied summoners about, and then I'm going to answer my list of frequently asked questions. Crystals just didn't feel good to open. Fact. Last year, I think the crystals were significantly worse. They were full of 6-star 6-tones and 6-star shards that in-game players couldn't really use. I stand by my comment that everything in the crystals this year is useful to in-game summoners, but I agree opening them didn't feel very exciting. So the major focus for us next year will be improve the crystal opening experience. We have some early ideas for how we can do this without exploding the reward budget. The reward budget. It's always fascinating to read words like that. Second thing is the way we handled Crystal's purchase with Banquet tickets. We needed to be clear up front about how this would all work. The way we handled it didn't result in anybody getting less earned rewards from the events. How we counted Banquet ticket crystals as purchased crystals, the milestones, and all the events would have been adjusted to account for the earned tickets. Players who collected all the earned tickets would have ended up exactly the same milestones in the events. The reason we decided not to do this is we would have made the events relatively more expensive for players who didn't collect tickets, which we didn't want to do. I mean, that's good. However, I understand why it felt like a shady deal, especially for those who purchased tickets through other offers. Effort to make the crystals better, I kind of messed them up, and then a decision over the holidays for how to fix it was probably the wrong one. Well, making it insanely cheap, Tier 6 basic, Tier 3 alpha offer available to all Valiant players as resolution players can accept. Well, the economy of the game did change forever. So there was that. So I think I'm going to save this for the next forum post, because this is just getting too long of a video. Thank you to those of you who actually watched the whole thing. My biggest takeaway: Kabam crashed is terrified of 8-star champions. That's why we had to slow everything down. That's why the economy had to suffer. And hopefully that theory is supported by this video here. Thanks for watching.